Shalom and good day all, this is Tehillim29 back again for another Night Terrors review, and in this Night Terrors review I'll be covering Night Terrors issue 4, Action Comics and Detective Comics, issue 2 of each, as next week we finally move into Night's End, and it's going to be really interesting to see how this story will actually end. And I'm glad I stuck to certain titles in this series and not grabbed all of them. I think that's the best decision I've made. And I'm not really inclined of the upcoming Batman Gotham War stuff. So let's get started for the first one that I'll be covering. So, as we move into Night Terrors, issue 4, does this cover in any way, shape or form connect to something that is happening inside with the story? Sure enough it does, to which I give it a 7 out of 10. Now it's time to move into the internal art as well as what's happening story-wise, as we look around the beginning, middle and of course the end. So as the story begins, we have Boston Brand, Deadman, and also Batman Bruce Wayne and Damian Wayne, all in the Nightmare universe, and we're actually seeing the Arkham Tower in this universe. And last but not least, they finally have the Nightmare Stone and ready to look into the main character of Insomnia. As we draw closer to the middle of the story, we get to see the person who becomes Insomnia, and to which the events that occurred, to which him losing his family, and why he puts a bit of a blame towards the heroes. And as we move towards the end of the story, we also get to catch up with the other heroes or other characters that have had their one-shots out. And we get to see the panel, which actually links to the end of issue 2 and what has finally happened in the main world. And that is the internal nightmares of those have escaped and entered the real world. So for the internal art, I gave it a 6.5 as I felt like it dropped a bit. Moving into the area of the story, to which consists of 3 parts. First is time, to which we have the Nightmare Hour 7, which is finally some time of time being addressed in the story. Of course, we have the locations being the Arkham Tower, Gotham, and of course, last but not least, the Hall of Justice. The cast of characters consisting of Deadman, Damian Wayne Robin, Batman, Wesley Dodds, and last but not least, Insomnia. For the overall story rating, I gave it a 7 out of 10. Now it's time to move on to the Detective Comics. Action Comics next, then Detective. So seeing that this one has a few stories in it, I'm going to rate it all as one story. So moving into first things first, does this cover in any way, shape or form connect to something that is happening inside with the story? Sure enough it does, to which I give a 7 out of 10. I'll now move to showing some of the internal art around the beginning, middle and of course the end, connecting to all 3 stories. So you'll get to see art from the first story, art from the second, and art from the third, or art from the next story, and it's all going to be rated as one story. So this is a little bit of art from the first story, to which we have Power Girl, and she's going up against someone else, or somewhat her nightmare villain. We move into the next one, which involves Cyborg Superman and of course the Super Twins. And basically the end of that, I think I might have missed one in there, but so for the internal art, I gave it a 7 out of 10 as I quite enjoyed the art in this one. Moving in regards to the story, first things first, did we get any story references? Sure enough, we did, linking to Warworld Saga, and we also got to see some other characters that are connected to the Superman story universe. Next, we have In Time, which we had weeks later. The area being Metropolis, or the location being Metropolis. The cast of characters consisting of Power Girl, Cyborg Superman, the Super Twins, Ophel and Ursula Ra, Keenan Kong, Mongol, and last but not least, Still. For the overall story rating of all 3 in 1, I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. Now it's time to move on to the Detective Comics. So as we jump to the last one for the Night Terrors Detective Comics issue 2, does this cover in any way, shape or form connect to something that is happening inside with the story? It does, to which I give it a 7 out of 10. I'll now move to showing the internal art in the beginning, middle, and of course the end, and also some of the things that are happening story-wise. So as the story begins, we return to the good people of Gotham, and we get to meet up with some of the characters that have sort of introduced these evil justice-like deities in. We get to see a little bit more with what's happening with Jim Gordon in the story, and also some of the beasts that he's going up against. And we also get to see what happens to Barbara Gordon in this. And last but not least, Jim Gordon wakes up and he gets a call from Barbara Gordon. For the internal art, I gave it a 7 out of 10. Now it's time to move in relation to the area of the story. First is the area of time, to which I managed to come across a bit of art which gave an indication of when something was taking place, and that was 6 p.m. So basically around the time things started, if I were to guess. And at least it's sort of being brought in the last part of this story instead of the first. Though it would have made a little bit more sense putting it in the first. And maybe at the end of the story, maybe showing the time of wake up for Jim Gordon, which would make a little bit more sense. We know that this is taking place in Gotham. The characters that we get to see in this are Mortimer Black, we get Gordon, and last but not least, Barbara Gordon. For the overall story rating, I gave this a 7 out of 10. Until then, let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day.